We're here today with newly elected representative from District 65 in Williamson County, Jeremy Durham. And Representative, welcome to the General Assembly.
Thank you.
Thank you for taking a few moments to talk with us and your constituents.
You are my constituent.
Actually, I am one of your constituents.
That's right.
But I'm sure people would like to get your impression of your first 48 hours here in the General Assembly, your thoughts as you were coming in, getting sworn in. Would you just share with us some of your impressions and thoughts?
Well, I'm just proud to be going into a united supermajority. I know that we all read things about how that maybe there's different factions in the caucus, but I certainly have not seen that. I think we're as united as ever. I think Speaker Harwell is very focused on doing the will of the people of the state, creating more jobs by cutting red tape on small businesses, eliminating unnecessary taxes that will prevent job growth, and just doing the business as the people want it to be done, and I'm just excited to be a part of it.
Wonderful. Now, as a new person, there are some that I noticed while I was here who kind of came in and observed the process the first year, didn't do much, file anything, say much. Other people hit the ground just doing all kinds of things. What are some of your hopes and aspirations you'd like to share with your constituents for your first year here?
Well, I think ideally I would have maybe sat back a little bit, but I just feel like that this Medicaid expansion issue is just so critically important that we get out in front and make sure that we move the ball as far as we can toward not expanding Medicaid. This is a place that I'm sure you're familiar with. Back when Governor Bredesen had to cut people off the rolls, I think you were in the Senate back then, so that we wouldn't bankrupt our state. And even without expanding Medicaid, Governor Bredesen wanted to get TennCare to 1/4 of our budget. It's now back to about 1/3 without us doing anything, and I just feel like relying on short-term, just relying on funds that may or may not be there is not a good thing. And even if the funds are still there, the first year that we would have to pay anything would be between $250 million and $300 million that we would have to find, and I don't want to have to find that money, and I also don't want to have to take health insurance coverage away from people that just got it. So I just think we would be very fiscally responsible if we would tell the federal government thank you, but no thank you.
Now, are you actually going to try to file some legislation this year, or will that be just your advocacy position?
I'm going to file some legislation. Senator Kelsey and I have already, we've actually told some people, we've got a few co-sponsors on a bill that would essentially make it where right now the executive branch could raise or at least change the eligibility thresholds for the TennCare program, and then we would just have to approve it in our state budget. We're trying to make it where that you cannot do that without legislative approval. So we're going to be working on that, and I'm hoping that that will pass and will make it more difficult to, and it's not even really for like Governor Haslam. I think Governor Haslam is fiscally responsible. I think he'll do the right thing just like he did on the exchanges, but you never know who's going to be in the governor's office 10 years from now. We don't even know who's going to be in it a year from now. We don't know. Who knows? You just never know what could happen. We thought that if a different president had been elected, who knows? Maybe Governor Haslam would be somewhere else. So you just never know what kind of deck you're going to be playing with. So I want to make sure that at least as far as the law goes, we're as prepared as we can to be as responsible as we can with the taxpayers' money.
Would it be fair to say that in some ways the bill is an attempt to say if we're going to change our Medicaid policy, the policy-making body ought to make that decision rather than the executive?
Sure. There's more accountability with people who are elected by the people than people who are just making TennCare regulations. Sure, they do ultimately answer to the governor, but I think it's very important to have that direct representation so that people can, if they have an issue, they're going to be very quick to pick up the phone and call their representative. And that is where I think the decision should be made, is with people who are going to hear from their constituents.
Great. Well, thank you for taking your time. On behalf of the citizens of Williamson County and as my representative,
Absolutely.
I wish you very well. Thank you for your time today.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome.